Welcome to the Private Practice Survival Guide podcast with your host, Brandon Seigel. I'm a published author, speaker, entrepreneur, and private practice strategist dedicated to transforming the way that healthcare functions. This podcast is all about empowering you to create the change you want to see. Let's dive in. Welcome back. In this episode, we're going to be talking about transforming a problem-oriented manager into a solutions-oriented leader. And I think this is crucial because when I talk to many of you and I really look at your practices, what I recognize is most of your managers are bringing the problems to the surface, and all of a sudden, every day feels like you're swimming in garbage. And I mean it because all you hear, see, and feel is the problem. And I think that's what's killing the culture, what's creating the burnout, and what's shifting the perspective from progress to drowning. And I think we are drowning in problems versus progressing in solutions. And so today, I really want to talk about kind of this differential between what a manager is versus a leader and how to really kind of deconstruct the perspective, the mindset, the capability, and the approach in how we address what is less than optimum. And I think every time someone brings a problem, they often bring it at the same intensity. So I'll give you an example. If they come to me and they say the French fries are cold, they're going to treat that as the same as the French fries have bacteria that's going to make me throw up the same way. And so every time they bring a problem, the reaction is based on the worst case scenario, because all I hear is the same intensity, the same priority of problem. And it's not fun. If every day I showed up to the kitchen table and my wife served me cold French fries, but I had to treat it like there was bacteria in them, man, I would always be feeling like I am in fight or flight, like I can't survive. So when a problem-oriented manager is presenting problems that often don't have solutions or prioritization, we often question if we can survive. And what I find is that the problem-oriented manager often prioritizes the way that their value is by propositioning the problem that's in front of them, because they feel that if there are no problems, then there is no role to manage. And I disagree. I say the best managers are the managers that have no problems because they prevent problems. Imagine if your managers were able to lead with the mindset that they are here to prevent problems, not to solve problems. Now, granted, I am called the chief problem solver because guess what? By the time it gets to me, it's too late. So if you have managers that are preventative problem seekers, I may not have a job anymore, but we'll have a better healthcare system. So let's get to it. So what does management look like in your private practice? And I say it to you because some of you have managers by titles. Some of you say, well, we've got supervisors, we've got this, we've got that, but what is their skill set? What is their qualifications? What are their expectations? What are their training? What do you expect from your managers? So I bring it in this analogy. If we eliminated the ability to create a fire, would there be no role for firefighters? No, there would be a role because they do so much more than firefight. They do paramedics, they do safety survival, they do lots of things. But we're so set on one thing that we fuel the value of the firefighter as putting out fires. Well, the same with your practice. We value your managers right now based on the fires they put out versus the fires they prevent. And so let's define leadership. Leadership in a business context refers to the ability to guide, inspire, and influence a team or organization toward achieving common goals. It encompasses several elements, though. It encompasses vision, creating and communicating a clear and compelling direction for the future. Now, my question to you is there one leader? No. I come back to, let your facilities manager lead the facility. What is your vision, Joseph? What does that look like? How are you going to create a direction for the future of our facility? Besides vision, they need to have influence, motivation, and encouraging others to follow that vision. So Joseph says, after I mop the floor, no one is to walk on the floor for 20 minutes. When you see an orange cone, do not proceed, do not progress, do not pass go. Joseph is holding that leadership to the staff. The orange cone is preventing you from passing go. Do not proceed until it's dry. He is influencing. He is holding others accountable. He is leading the expectation for the area that he leads, which is the facility. Decision making, making strategic choices that align with the organization's goal and values. Joseph is going to decide that we are going to use non-toxic chemical cleaning supply because of the patients we work with. That's part of Joseph's. Now you can say, Joseph just is the janitor, Brandon. Well, no. Joseph's our facility manager in which janitorial work is a function in his expectation. But Joseph gets to decide how we execute in alignment with the company and the budget and all the other things. Empowerment, that leadership trait, supporting team members by providing resources, opportunities, and a positive environment. Joseph's going to empower everyone to respect the facility. This is not a place where I am here to clean up after you. You clean up after yourself, and I prepare the environment for excellence to be delivered. But there is an empowerment trait that Joseph's going to hold in his leadership approach to his facility management. And then adaptability, responding to change and challenge with agility and resilience. So I tell Joseph, Joseph, I no longer can have you mop the floors at 9 a.m. I need you to mop them at 6 a.m. And I know that's a change of schedule. And Joseph responds to that change and that challenge with agility and resilience. Here, I have created a fundamental approach to Joseph's job as facility manager. He is managing a facility with a leadership mindset. He has vision, he has influence, he has decision-making capability. He holds an opportunity to empower others to fall in line, and he is adaptable for the greatest good of the organization. Effective leaders not only drive success, but they foster an inclusive and collaborative culture that enables everyone to thrive. So, we defined leadership. But when we're dealing with managers, leadership is only one piece of the equation. The other is conflict resolution. Now, conflict resolution gone bad is a problem. Conflict resolution gone good is a solution. Are you resolving conflict with solutions or creating problems? So when we look at conflict resolution, it is the process of finding a peaceful solution to a disagreement. We have to understand other people's perspectives and working together to find a compromise. We must find harmony. But what I find is that we are able to prevent conflict resolution when we have structure, agreement, responsibility, and accountability ahead of time. So when someone signs on the dotted line, we can hold them accountable. Now, sometimes people don't like what they agreed to. So I'll give you an example. You have an employee that you hire. And you hire this employee and you say, your hours of operation are graveyard shift. And they say, I got it. I'm excited. I get to spend the day with my kids. I'm all for graveyard shift, right? Okay. And a month goes by and you start to see that Sheila is not happy. And you kind of check in and Sheila goes, no, I'm just adapting. It's a new change for me. And month 2, Sheila looks worse. Sheila starts to make undermining comments like, this place doesn't care about anyone. Or, I wish they would value their employees more. All of a sudden, you're starting to see toxicity, but we haven't reached conflict yet. We're still at a stage of Tabasco sauce in the water system. It's seeping in. That water's not tasting right. And all of a sudden, month 3, she comes in late. You say, hey, what's going on? She says, this job is not what I signed up for. Oh, okay, there's a conflict, right? What's the conflict? She just said, the job is not what I signed up for. What did you sign up for? Well, I signed up for this environment, and I go, so what about the job is not what you signed up for? Well, the graveyard shift. I'm not happy. Well, did you sign up for the graveyard shift? Well, I did, but Brandon, I'm not sleeping and I'm tired and I'm exhausted. Okay, we'll handle that in a second, but I just want to make sure before we look at this conflict, I want to acknowledge you stated the job is not what you signed up for. Would you like me to bring the paperwork out so we can go through that? Because it's crucial to me that we define if we are not upholding our end of the bargain. No, I did sign, but I didn't know. And all the excuses come out. I go, it's okay. But I just want you to acknowledge what you're saying, what I'm hearing, and I want to make sure we're on the same page is you signed up for the graveyard shift, but the effects of the graveyard shift are not what you anticipated, and it's creating a hardship on you that was unexpected. Yeah, what you said. I said, okay. But the company is not doing this to you. The choices you made and the agreement that you accepted are having ramifications that are not working for you. Yes. Okay. So the first thing we want to ask is acknowledge that the responsibility you took is you did not do the due diligence to see if the graveyard shift was a fit. And now you're second guessing the choices you made. Again, I'm putting responsibility back on her because I did nothing wrong. There's nothing for me to fall on my sword. I need her to own her responsibility. I am okay that this job is not a fit for her. I am. I'm disappointed, but I am not going to take responsibility for the choices she made. And every time she makes an excuse, it's her not taking responsibility. Well, there was no other job. Well, I really wanted to work here. Well, I wanted to get my foot in the door. Well, I had to start somewhere. I'm like, that wasn't part of our interview process. I would have rather you waited because now we're in a dilemma. So the conflict is not that the company that you signed up for something that, we're not upholding our bargain. The conflict is what you signed up for no longer fits for you. So you have the following options. One option is you reassess if this organization's a fit for you. One option is we put you in a bucket to eventually change shifts as soon as something opens up. And the third is we continue to look at what adaptations we can make on your side and our side to make the night shift work. And I said, what would make your night shift easier? Well, if I was able to start at 4:00 and end earlier, it would give me more time. Okay, we could look at that. That might be an accommodation that we are willing and able to make. I don't know. But these are the ways. Part of conflict resolution is still ownership over responsibility. Again, understanding their perspective and working to find harmony as long as we are not going against what works for our business recipe, our algorithm. And so part of this is finding that component. So when we resolve the conflict, we want to address the conflict. We want to clarify the issue causing the conflict. In this case, it was the graveyard shift is not what you had expected in terms of how it's affecting your personal life. Bring the involved parties together. We're talking HR with the employee. Identify a solution. So right now, the best solution that we've identified is to actually move the shift from a 6:00 start to a 4:00 start, and maybe they're 12-hour shifts. So it's a 12-hour shift. You're only working, call it 3 days a week. So it's a 36-hour schedule, 3 nights a week, starting at 4:00, whatever that is. I'm just making this up, but you get my idea. We monitor and follow up. The idea is that we've identified a solution, but hey, let's check back after 4 weeks. I want to do a 1 month, so 12 shifts, and then let's readdress and see if this is working or not. For the past 20 years, I've had the privilege of helping pediatric occupational, physical, and speech therapists redefine the way that their business functions and helping them tap into their entrepreneurial spirit. In recent years, I recognized a deficit, which was bringing private practice owners together with the vision of allowing them to connect, learn, and grow. And Growth Code Conference was born. From sunrise to sunset, we offer an opportunity for pediatric, occupational, physical, speech therapy private practice leaders and owners to connect, collaborate, learn, grow. From yoga to breakfast to lunch to coffee carts and more. We take you to another world where you are inspired, where you feel empowered, and where you are able to grow to the next level so that we all can change the world one child at a time. So when we address the conflict, we're recognizing the problem, we're taking action, we're ignoring the situation that makes the employees feel unimportant. And I think that's really important. I'm not saying, I am identifying that there's responsibility had on the employee, but I want them to feel important. So by making them feel important, I'm saying, hey, own your role in this. Now let's find a solution. Clarify the issue causing the conflict. Take the time to find out exactly what's going on. Verify and don't rely on rumors. Talk to the appropriate people. Now, my mistake was we waited till 90 days. After 30 days, it started to set in. And so now, when I fix this culture issue, there's Tabasco sauce in my water system. I need that employee with these changes. Part of conflict resolution is them fixing the toxicity that they put in our water system. And when we meet, we're bringing parties in, we're bringing people involved, and we may actually do an employee survey as a result of this toxicity situation, because the conflict became toxicity because it was missed. And the longer it goes, the toxicity creates the problem. So we identified a solution. We encouraged open communication while working towards a solution. A compromise can be reached with both parties. We monitored and we followed up. We set up future meetings to make sure progress was being done. We provided multiple solutions. Ultimatums often don't work well. So if you get to a point where it's like, this is what it is, take it or leave it, I'd rather you say, let's see if there's ways to make this current agreement work. Otherwise, let's come up with a transition plan down the line. And I know that might sound like an ultimatum, but there's a difference in me saying, I want to make this work. Let's see if we can make this work. And if not, I want to do right by you, versus This is what it is. Take it or leave. You see the difference. Again, how we say it and what we say matters. So best practices in leading a team while managing a function, clear communication. We need to have open dialogue, foster an environment where employees feel comfortable to share. Clearly, this employee felt guilty. Again, toxicity. There was resentment. But the resentment stemmed from their upset with themselves for accepting a role that wasn't ideal for them. Set expectations, clearly define roles, responsibility, performance expectations. This helps prevent your misunderstandings and ensures everyone knows what is expected. We need to lead by example. And this is one of the mistakes private practice owners are missing, is they're not present. So if you're not the example, you need to have leaders that are examples. Be transparent, model behavior you want to see in your employees. Demonstrate integrity, honesty, dedication. So I say it this way. You need to have leaders that lead on the graveyard shift. They need to have people that represent that value, because what's really hard is when you have to graduate to a non-graveyard shift, you resent everyone that does not have to do it. And so understanding a graveyard shift should not be a ladder to daytime hours. It should be its own standalone job that attracts people that want that work. Stay involved, show your commitment by being present, actively engaged. We need to empower our team, delegate effectively, trust employees to take on tasks and responsibilities. This not only lightens the workload, but it also helps with skill and confidence. And so by empowering our team, we're able to recognize and empower what they're capable of. So, hey, what if you were able to do this? Providing training and development allows them to feel like they're mastering change. And so we want to foster a positive work environment, encourage collaboration, recognize achievement, focus on customer service, know your customers, provide excellent service. What does that look like? And part of customer satisfaction is pre-qualifying customers. See, that's the mistake I see. We're like, well, we have to serve all. I go, don't serve someone that's not going to be satisfied in your service offering. Pre-qualify what they should expect. Under-promise, over-deliver so that customer satisfaction is a given. Maintain financial health. Keep a close eye on your financial performance, understanding that this is really important related to leadership, is that cash flow and the way that you're getting cash flow so that you can make sure that there's not added stress on the team. Stay adaptable. Embrace change. Be open to new ideas, willing to adapt in market conditions. So maybe the graveyard shift isn't designed as a 5-day or 4-day-a-week role. It's a 3-day-a-week role. Maybe it's a 2-day-a-week role. You don't know. Continuous improvement. Regularly assess your business operations and look for ways to improve efficiency, productivity, and of course, profitability. So when we're building managers, we want to look at a couple things, okay? And so the 7 things that I want you to look at when we're building managers. 1, hire managers, not career ladder climbers. I think that's really important. And so when I look at that, I want you to realize that management's a skill set. Many believe they can build a manager. Make sure your managers can manage projects before you train them to manage people, but make sure that's filling their bucket, because I am so tired of this idea that you should pay more for a manager. And even I know someone posted on one of my podcasts and was like, well, it's harder and it's more draining. And I go, that's because you weren't designed to be a manager. So there are people that just love to manage, that really enjoy it, that it fills their purpose and bucket. But when you create a culture that this is the only way to make more money, you attract people that are getting paid more because they don't like it. And I always say, play to their sphere of influence. If you can't find people that love management, then maybe you're not creating the right type of management roles, meaning cultivating managers that enjoy managing others, cultivating teams that are not creating problems, but are embracing solutions. So the managers that hate their job are the managers that have to wrangle people that are not fits for the organization. Number 2, I want you to look at soft skills development. Communication skills. Train managers on effective communication techniques, active listening, clear messaging, giving constructive feedback. EQ, emotional intelligence. Teach managers about emotional intelligence, how to manage their own emotions, understand others' emotions, foster a positive work environment. So I want to be crystal clear. I'm a hothead. I'm a fiery personality. There is a reason why my managers are earth and I am fire. Those who deal with me know that I am fire, and there is a place where you channel my fire appropriately. There are roles that I should not fulfill because of my fire. And so understanding that and utilizing that fire as a positive, I channel my fire towards engagement, empowerment, and making others laugh. But when I have to do a correction cycle, my HR is earth because I will not communicate it in the most effective way. Practical experience. We need on-the-job training. We need to recognize that what worked in the past for others off-site might not work on-site for us. Provide opportunity for managers to apply what they've learned through on-the-job training, real-world scenarios, role-playing, job rotation. So one of the things that I loved, when I was in college, I had the privilege to work for Hyatt Hotels. And Hyatt Hotels had this manager training program that I never did it, but I loved it. And I loved what they represented. And basically, their program rotated you, where you had to fulfill, I forget what the duration of time was, call it 6 months, 3 months, whatever it was. But in every single role. So you'd be the registration, you'd be the banquet manager, you'd be the restaurant, you'd be every housekeeping, all of that. I think that is so crucial. Being able to have that reality of every role, every function, every task, kind of like undercover boss. I love it. Like, make it happen. Turn your management world into an undercover boss training opportunity. Implementing job rotation will create more value and connection between your team. Number 4, continuous learning. I want you to encourage ongoing education. Promote a culture where learning never stops, whether it's a podcast, a book. I just had a participate in my 16-week growth group. And the owner, part of my growth groups is I include employees, managers, whatnot of the practice. So he had 5 managers on the 16-week growth group. And he said to me, he said, Brandon, I mean no disrespect. I value everything you did. But what was more valuable to me was how much my team learned versus what I learned. My team now can embrace strategies, leadership, mindset, statistics, KPIs in ways that I could never teach them. Hearing it from you unlocked a new perspective that I couldn't have given them. And so what does continuing learning look like in your group? How do you invest in them? How do you build their skill set, their self-awareness, their strength and weakness assessment, their self-confidence? Offer access to courses, books, resources, enhance not just their knowledge and skills, but their self-awareness. Number 5, strategies for building managers, performance feedback and assessment. We need to have regular feedback. Whether it's a 360-degree feedback, which is when peer-to-peer and subordinates and superiors all give them well-rounded perspective, or if it's a strength-based area improvement. There's many different ways to construct it. But I believe performance is about building and sharpening your skill. And so if a knife is dull, you don't know until you have a testing measure for it. And I need you to have a testing measure to see where that knife is dull and where that knife is cutting butter. And it's so important. Number 6, I want you to foster a collaborative environment, team building activities. Look at the way that you change the dynamic of your group. Simple things like solve a problem together, make a meal together. So I think cooking brings people together. So even this idea of like rent out a kitchen and have them cook a dinner for a team dinner once a quarter. And every group, every team has a certain appetizers, entrees, whatever, desserts. That's an easy team building activity. Encourage collaboration. Create opportunities for managers to collaborate on projects, share best practices, and learn from each other. Number 7, focus on results and accountability. Set clear objectives. You must define and reward the success. So part of this is the gamification of results. What does that look like? How do we gamify? And sometimes it's a badge. Sometimes it's being part of a new group. Sometimes it's a reward. But gamifying progress and accountability helps make the challenge fun. And I want to be clear, there's a difference between a challenge and a problem. A lot of the times our employees are bringing about challenges and calling them problems. I believe a challenge is a barrier. A problem is, in my opinion, something that's like a toxicity. I think a problem is making less of, whereas a challenge is a barrier. And I think a barrier is easier to overcome. A problem requires a solution, in my opinion. So how do I get my team to buy into leadership by metrics? Because I think that's really important. I want them to love numbers. And I want to be clear, I stunk at math as a kid. I stunk at it. I literally had to redo a lot of math in college. And I still to this day don't like math, but I love the story behind math. So if they understand the story, they will embrace it. Each team member must have a vested interest in the financial health and stability of your private practice. They must feel like the profit of the company directly correlates to their progress in some way. Each team member must agree and desire to perform based on the expectations of their role and the functional capacity that they play. They have to buy in. Each team member must have a high level of responsibility in their personality testing. Each team member must get fulfillment by achieving goals and be goal-driven. Each team member must help create the metrics that are aligned with performance of both themselves and the organization. Let them craft it. The more that your team is part of crafting the expectations of the organization, the more buy-in they will have. So managers bring problems to owners, in my opinion, because they believe the more problems they announce to an owner, the more valuable they become to the owner. It shows how hard their job is. And what would happen if their job looked easy? So I always say the best managers are the ones that everything goes right and they make it look easy. So imagine going into a restaurant. If all of a sudden the waiter looks stressed, you hear noise in the back of the kitchen, you hear a fire flare up, and the manager is running in and out, do you think that manager is doing a good job or a bad job? See, a lot of people say good job, they're putting out all the fires. And I'm like, no, that fire should never have existed. So in my opinion, we want managers to bring solutions. And so a lot of the times the managers that struggle and bring problems to owners, it's because they lack confidence in decision-making. They have a habitual problem-focused mindset. They are seeking approval and avoiding accountability. And they have limited problem-solving skills. So they need, in my opinion, to be taught how to seek out preventative solutions. And a lot of the time, our owners are enabling these managers because the owner is trying to touch everything. There's an over-reliance on the owner expertise. We're not empowering them to own their role. There's time constraints or overwhelm, there's cultural reinforcement, and there's fear of overstepping boundaries. And I think that's something I see a lot. And so I am recommending that you encourage ownership of outcomes. Foster a culture where managers take responsibility for both success and setbacks. Number 2, I want you to have a model of solution-focused leadership. Leaders should demonstrate solution-oriented behavior. They should train in problem-solving frameworks, equip managers with structured tools like the GROW model, goal, reality, options, will, or PCDA, plan, do, check, act. There are problem-solving frameworks that will help better equip your managers. Reward initiative and results. Recognize incentives. help a lot. Create a Solution Star Award for managers who tackle issues creatively, implementing cost-saving measures. Publicize these wins in team meetings, newsletters, etc. Stop focusing on the problem. Start focusing on the win. And so as we look at all these things, it's really important that we shift from a squeaky wheel mentality to a silent assassin. Reframe complaints as opportunities. Build discrete problem-solving skills. Shift recognition from complaints to results. Foster a culture of quiet competence. And as we address these behaviors, we need to make sure that we recognize the habit of complaining is holding us back, not helping us. The fear of failure, normalize small-scale experiments in a safe sandbox to build confidence. And those that are seeking validation are struggling with self-confidence. Create a way for them to find validation in building their confidence. Did you know a 2025 Deloitte survey indicated that solution-oriented leaders in healthcare practices improve team productivity by 23%, enhancing overall practice efficiency? Again, solution-oriented leaders are improving team productivity by 23% due to enhancing overall practice efficiency. Albert Einstein said, we cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them. We can't solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them. We have to think differently. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the Private Practice Survival Guide. Thank you for tuning in to the Private Practice Survival Guide podcast. I'm incredibly grateful to each and every one of you. Exciting news. We're now available everywhere, from Spotify to Apple Podcasts to YouTube or anywhere you like to listen to your podcasts. So watch, listen, and reach out. If you love this episode, please drop a 5-star review. It truly means the world to me. Are you looking for more ways to elevate your practice? If so, now is your chance. Reach out, go to my website, or email me at brandon@wellnessworksmp.com. And remember, it's not just about surviving, it's about thriving.